Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. This is unprecedented. We know that Israeli army spokesperson, his name is Daniel Hagari, he resigned. Now, the reason it is unprecedented is because he has resigned in the middle of this war. And this is why it is very, very rare. It doesn't happen. Yes, there are problems within the army, within the ranks, but it never happens that for the generals to resign in the middle of the war. It is basically now an indication that this whole army unit of Israeli army, the Zionist army, they are now not united at all. There are some reasons why this guy he resigned. One of the reasons, as was quoted on the media, is that this guy Daniel Hagari, he resigned because his association with a army chief who is now becoming a political leader who is going to be competing against Netanyahu. Regardless of what the reason is, the fact of the matter is that, dear sisters, Israeli army, they are now falling apart. It is just a matter of time. Wallahi, it is just a matter of time now that we will see the complete fall, the complete collapse of this Zionist army and the victory of the Muslim, inshallah. That's our hope. Now, I just want to actually remind you of something. If you remember, during the time of Rasulullah, it was the 5th year of Hijrah, and the Muslim, they were facing the Battle of the Trench. And we know during that battle, the Muslim army, they were only 3,000, and they were facing the Quraysh army and the Confederate total of 10,000. Muslim fighting 3,000 against 10,000. What happened that time was that defeat was inevitable outwardly, because 3,000 cannot fight 10,000. On top of it, Banu Qurayza, the Yahudi tribe who were living in Medina, they betrayed Rasulullah and they sided with the Quraysh. Now, during that time, Allah Azza wa Jal exactly did what He, looks like to me, did with this Israeli army of today. So let me explain to you in a second, because you need to understand our history and you really need to understand what is going on if you want to have a good knowledge. So during that time, Nuaym ibn Mas'ud, there was a companion who converted or who reverted to Islam. He came to join the Muslim army, and Rasulullah, he advised him not to outwardly join him, but to go back to the Quraysh and also to the Yahudi and create or sow the seed of disunity among them. And this is exactly what Nuaym did. Instead of telling them, I'm a Muslim, he went there and he played this trick with which the Quraysh, they lost their trust over the Yahudi, over the Jew. And the Jew, they lost their trust with the Quraysh, and then the Muslim found a way to defeat them. If you want to know the whole history, you should read the book, the Seerah of Rasulullah for more understanding, but I'm just giving you some idea what happened. And this is exactly, dear my sisters, what is happening right now. In Gaza, we are seeing miracle taking place every single day. This is the qadr of Allah. This is the miracle of Allah Azza wa Jal, that He will disunite the army, this Yahudi, this Zionist army, in the middle of this war. I mean, Benjamin Netanyahu, only a few days ago, he said that we are actually winning, and we do not need months, we do not need even weeks. He said we just need few more days. We are already there to have our victory. This is exactly what Netanyahu said only a few days ago. Wallahi, I'm not lying to you. And when they were seeing the end of the tunnel, their army unit, they resigned. Several of them. We do not know exactly how many the numbers are, but there are several. I would say at least, maybe looks like to me 50 or maybe 100 army officer from Israeli elite ranks, they have resigned. Now this army, this unit was very, very important for Israeli army, because they used to provide information to the ground soldiers who are fighting in Gaza. They were receiving information, or if you like, intelligence from this unit. And all of them, subhanallah, when they're about to savor victory, all of them quit. They said, we are resigning. And so I call it miracle. I do not know what you will call it, but this is nothing short of a miracle of Allah Azza wa Jal that He performed just like He performed on the Prophet and his companion Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And subhanallah, this is just what was repeated. And remember, that time it was Banu Qurayza, and this time this is what? The Yahudi, the same progeny perhaps of those people, Banu Qurayza and the Yahudi who lived in Medina. But subhanallah, they're facing exactly the same situation like the Yahudi faced during the time of Prophet ﷺ. So it is not really numbered. And there is another point, a very, very interesting. Wallahi, it gets even more interesting. There is another point. So Battle of the Trench is basically where we know Salman Farsi, he gave this idea of digging the trench, if you remember that, right? What we see today, the tunnels. Yes, subhanallah, the tunnels. They are absolutely baffled, Israeli army. They how many days now since this war started? Almost 6 months. They're baffled. They are absolutely incapacitated when they go to fight in those tunnels. They have absolutely no idea. Sometimes they're, pouring water inside the tunnel. Sometimes they're making it stink. Sometimes they're doing this. Sometimes they're doing that. But wallahi, none of them are panning out for Israeli army. Just like the Quraysh, they could not cross the trench during the Battle of the Khandaq. This is exactly the same situation. They cannot go inside the tunnel. They have no idea how to solve this problem. So I am 100% that these Muslims who are suffering there, it is what we see on the media is not the whole picture. There are miracles going on. There are angels. I personally believe that angels are working there. And if not, can you imagine for the world superpower, Israel, who is backed up by US, by UK, by Germany, by France, all of this army from all over the world, spending billions and billions of dollars, sending their own forces, they're sending their best weapon. After 6 months, they are not seeing any victory. Even though they believe they're very close to it, but they still don't see it. Subhanallah. So I call it a miracle. There is not just human that we are seeing and thinking that this is the whole picture. There are many other things going on. When we talk about the Imam Mahdi, the Dajjal, Ya'juj and Ma'juj, dear my sisters, these are so true that Rasulullah he prophesied this will come true. Just like, wallahi, what happened with him, with Rasulullah when he was fighting the Quraysh, the army of the Banu Qurayza, of the Yahudi tribe. This is exactly what we believe is going to be happening, because we have heard this from the most truthful of all, and that is from Rasulullah himself. Dear my sisters, we need to keep this updated. We cannot just see what we see on the media. We need to dig deep. We need to study our past, our history, the seerah of Rasulullah. This is the time. A lot of ayat from the Quran is coming true in Gaza. There are a lot of ayat that Allah promised to the Muslims, the victory coming true in Gaza. Wallahi, if you want to know whether Quran is true, is prophecies, you do not have to look into and study and study under a sheikh or a alim. No, just watch what is happening in Gaza. You will know how true the kalam of Allah Azza wa Jal is. Subhanallah, this is happening right now. If you have any comment, I have some comment. Voldela, I heard the spokesperson of he resigned, and not only him, but there are several army officers, they resigned. No, not just Daniel Hagari, but there are other members of the army unit. They resigned. The brother, he told me that. Firoz, Allahu Akbar. Thank you, brother. Jazakallah khair. Abdullah Isa, thank you, brother. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Abdullah Isa, Jazakallah khair for joining this session. Wallahi, we are heading towards the end of time. We're heading towards the victory for the Ummah. Can you imagine this army? The superpower of the time is being defeated by some people who has absolutely no funding, who has absolutely no weapon compared to the enemy, who has absolutely no help. All the Muslim leaders, mashallah, tabarakallah, they're just watching, just like they watch football match or soccer or basketball. They're just watching, and they left this unit, this army of Muslim alone. fight on your own and see what you can do. And you do not need anybody. Wallahi, you do not need anybody when Allah Azza wa Jal is with you. Now, I want to leave you with this particular dua that Rasulullah made during the Battle of the Trench. And then, inshallah, we pray that just like the Battle of the Trench, the army was divided and shaken and was defeated. Inshallah, the army of Israel will face the same fate. So this is the dua. Allahumma munzil al-kitab sari al-hisab ihzim al-ahzab Allahumma zimhum wa zalzilhum. And the meaning of this dua is, O Allah, revealer of the book, swift to take account, defeat the army, the confederate. Allahumma zimhum. O Allah, defeat them, and wazalzilhum, and shake them. Wallahi, we have to make dua every single time for the brothers and sisters of Palestine, so that the army will be defeated and the army of Allah will be victorious. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.